in down now it's actually a broadcasting, so you can get the link at the bottom of your screen. You can share that. You can share the link in your network so people can watch online or on YouTube, for example. You also first share this. People who couldn't join, maybe they can still watch. Maybe they can share it on Facebook or maybe on LinkedIn.
Kaminda, you hear me? Like
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. You do some.
So seeing that now it's online, so it's actually streaming now, so it will be recorded as a YouTube video as well as it's now streaming online. Anybody can who has the link can watch it. So I'm trying to share the link. You can also get the link at the bottom of your bottom of your screen. There is something called link and how many people are watching. So if you like, you can share the the link now itself. Then people can watch real time or they can watch later.
Okay.
You see the link?
On the screen, you mean?
Yeah, in the screen, bottom right side. And then number of viewers and the links.
Yeah, it shows the number of people, but it doesn't show any link.
Maybe I think I don't know whether you can't. Doctor, can you see that?
Which one?
The link. Bottom right side. After how many people are watching?
No.
Okay, doesn't matter. So I will share it. And then you can also look at that one. It doesn't come anyway. But anyway, this is already streaming now. Huh? So whatever you
Okay.
now it's recorded.
Okay.
Just give me a minute. I can do multitasking, but my computer has problems, so it takes some time. Okay, I shared on my Facebook the YouTube link. You can also have a look and maybe share. Okay, so we'll start the session now. So welcome to the international online dialogue for making new constitution of Sri Lanka. So it's really good that we have interesting people from different backgrounds. So I will explain about the objectives and what we are going to do. But maybe if you can very quickly introduce yourself, where you are joining from, it will be great. We will have more people coming later, but we'll start just to get idea about who you are. Starting with maybe Pubudu. I think she has muted the mic. Pubudu, are you there?
Yeah.
Just introduce yourself very quickly.
Hello everyone, I am Pubudu Chenaratna, joining from Colombo, Sri Lanka, and I'm a psychologist by profession, and currently I'm based in
Colombo.
here. Yes, Colombo.
Ernest Ichiri.
Yeah, my name is Ernest Kitsari, based in Canada right now, and I'm by profession an electrical engineer, and I'm a consulting electrical.
Hear you, but will be back in. Your voice is not very clear, so it will be recorded not very nice. So can you kind of adjust your volume?
Okay, can you hear me now? Better?
Yeah, but we can't see you.
Okay, just hold on a second.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the meantime, you can speak. Yeah, now it's okay. Yeah, Kitchen, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I'm an electrical engineer based in Canada and a consulting electrical engineer right now, about like 23 years experience almost.
Where you're based in Toronto?
Yeah, based out of Toronto, yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Welcome, Pitsiri, Ernest, Chatura.
Hi, I'm Chatura and I'm a software engineer from Colombo, Sri Lanka. And yeah, that's it.
Okay,
No
so
need
we
to tell
yeah,
others.
exclusive engineers except Udu, but actually I think that there are more engineers are going to connect later if they can manage the digital problems. But okay, so the idea actually is now the government has asked for public consultation of the ideas or consultation of the public about the new constitution. Now Sri Lanka is trying to get a new constitution. Now it's in a unique way. Even Prime Minister said that it is the first constitution in the world to be like kind of crowdsourced using social media. But I didn't see any very important social media discussions, special ones. Now, what the government does is they have separate website called yourconstitution.lk and ask people to use suggestions, written suggestions or email. But also, government has some kind of committees. They go to different districts and get physical submissions. Now our plan is first of all to use technology, to get the ideas mainly from people or Sri Lankans or friends of Sri Lanka out of Sri Lanka, because of course you can send your written submission to the email given in that website, but I thought this is more kind of updated and more advanced. You have direct consultation or discussion using Google Hangout. Now we have done successful Google Hangouts slightly more than 1 year ago on Sri Lankan elections. I think Chatura also joined that and few other people. That's also available online. And then we did another Google Hangout after the election when the new government, Maithripala Sirisena government came into power. We did another Google Hangout on the role of Sri Lankan professionals all over the world in kind of controlling or running or even monitoring the government. Now, this is also a very unique historical kind of a work because we use Google Hangout live discussion forum to give some ideas to constitution crafting or making. Now, what I want to do is now have a discussion, open discussion about main topics, and then we will have a kind of report prepared and then submit to this public. They call it a public commission. In fact, I can share the screen for you to get understanding about Sri Lanka. This it's called Public Representation Committee on Constitutional Reform. Anybody has the chance to look at the site? Or maybe to see it as you can see, maybe it's appearing now. Is it appearing? So this is the Constitutional Reforms Committee website run by I think Prime Minister's office. Now, first of all, I will tell you now, I or any of you don't represent the government or any political party. We are like citizens trying to make our opinion heard in the official consultation, but it's mainly a citizens activity than any government agency or not even a political party. Okay, so that's the idea. That's what we are going to do. So we will make a written report based on this discussion and submit to either directly to their website or to the email. But I'm also planning to go to a physical consultation session, maybe in my own district of Kurunegala, if I have opportunity. Otherwise, we'll have a written submission. Okay, you see the constitution. You see the page, right? In the screen. Can you see
the page?
Okay. So it has all these, the headings or categories for you to come in. Okay, so I want you to you have any question, you can ask, and or else we can discuss how we go ahead. Now, one idea is we can. I posted some question already in our event to discuss main points, or we can also go along with the categories given in the consultation website. Based on there are 20 categories, I can go one by one, or else we can just openly discuss. But you just any questions, or if you want to say anything in general, you're free to go ahead.
Chavinda, here's what I have. I haven't seen these categories actually up to now, right? Until now, I haven't seen them, right? But I have gone through the Sri Lankan constitution number of times and compared it with a number of other countries, like in a couple of forums, right? The problem that I have is actually.
Can you speak a little bit louder? I want your voice to be recorded clearly in the video.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so the problem I have with the Sri Lankan constitution mainly is still we are not in a right footing, so that people won't feel second-class citizens. That is a major thing or major step that they need to work on, so that people won't feel second-class citizens.
You mean everybody, or some selected ethnicities or religious people?
No, there are a lot of people not based on ethnicities. For example, say in a small village, sometimes a wealthy person is treated differently.
Okay.
And a poor guy, even though he has so many bright ideas and he cannot come forward and he doesn't feel like he's welcome. There are many barriers.
Okay, saying based on income, there are income-based discrimination. Okay.
Yes, based on income, based on a lot of other things like the caste and the education and the social status and all that stuff. You know, like a lot of people feel second-class citizens.
Right.
Until like that, all the countries like the Vietnam and Singapore, Malaysia, these countries, what they did in the first step, they introduced all the whatever required to eliminate that feeling, so that people feel equal. And let me tell you a couple of things. In our constitution.
Now you are very clear.
Oh, okay. In Sri Lankan constitution itself contradicts in many articles. For example, the constitution, I think article chapter 4 says it treats all the people equally, right? But on top of that, just before that, in chapter 2, they bring one religion. This is a serious matter, I'll tell you. Like they bring one religion as a supreme, treat it differently. So from that point onwards, constitution itself contradicts.
Okay.
And
okay, actually, I want to discuss this point separately, but yeah, you can go ahead. I want to ask also from Chatura, also Kitsiri can also, should contribute. Now the Sri Lankan constitution says utmost or supreme kind of status for Buddhism, and other religions are treated equally. So you think it is a discriminatory, or it should be not mentioned at all, or
it should not be mentioned at all. All religion should be out of the constitution. And I'll tell you why. Those days, like, after the First World War, there is no segment of people called atheists. For example, like there are a whole bunch of people anymore right now in the world, they don't believe any religion. So where do they fit in this constitution? If you
hold on. You keep your other ideas just for a while. I just want to ask Chatura about his idea, main idea.
Main idea on the point mentioned by Kitsiri, or
general your ideas. We'll go to the discussions later, but some ideas you want to like throw directly without going to the structured discussion.
Okay.
By the way, I have already started displaying the constitution for the people to understand it. I think 400 pages or some 200 some pages in the constitution. Okay, Chatura, meantime you can go ahead.
Yeah, if I speak about the point mentioned by Kitsiri, that even though the constitution say the all citizens are equal and should be treated by in equal manner, and Buddhism, and but there's one chapter the government is like obligate to feed the Buddhism and give the priority to the Buddhism. Uh, Based on the current the situation, I mean its current status, it's more now likely to be appear in the constitution is like it's. I don't believe that it had a severe impact on the other important articles of the constitution. It's just to symbolically is there. I mean, to happy the single Buddhist or like
Majority.
or majority, or just to sake of that there's no real influence from that. And if I'm not wrong, if I can recall right, in Malaysia also there's a uh, sentence in the constitution like the Malays are the
Yes.
supreme nation of their country, and but it doesn't seems like affect much because they all have the economic freedom, the equal economic freedom.
But Malaysia is
So I don't.
considered to be like favoring to Bhumiputra or the local
Yeah,
people.
Bhumiputra, local people. Yeah. So on if you consider the Malaysia by the first class, second class citizens are divided by their own constitution.
Mm.
We just don't have that. We just only had the
Okay.
these religions because it's a cultural and the like
History and heritage.
heritage inheritance. Because
Okay.
of that, we have given the supreme place.
Okay. So
So
now I want you to talk other points also overview about if you have any special things to talk about that. Uh, in addition to that, the religious course clause. Now,
yeah,
if it is also good if you can also declare your religious affiliations or biases for people to understand where you are coming from, because this is also a sensitive issue in Sri Lanka to talk about religion.
yeah.
And yeah,
So I am a Buddhist, but I believe that the constitution should be a secular, and it should not be biased to any religion. And I'm especially like concerning like when there are contradiction between the country's main law and the religious or provincial laws. For example, we have different some laws for applicable for the bhikkhus, some laws for the Muslim communities, and some of the provincial laws like Tesavalami. So there are situations that those provincial and religious laws are going to contradict with the main law. I strongly believe the constitution should grant provisions whenever there's a conflict. The common law should be applicable. I
okay,
think in upcoming constitution, this matter should be addressed properly.
okay, Kitsiri, back to you. You want to add, and also you can continue the additional points.
Yeah, definitely. Like I have, I definitely don't agree with any religion to be in the constitution. Though that's my point. Okay. And the second thing is like when we eliminate when we try to eliminate all these second class citizen scenario, we are talking about only one aspect is religion, but there are so many other aspects like economic disparities.
Okay,
Economic disparities means it's only if you go to the Canadian Constitution, you can see that's a separate segment. There's a separate article
mm-hmm.
for just only for the economic disparities.
Okay,
What it means is in Sri Lankan Constitution, we don't say the national wealth on what basis we distribute that to among the provinces or among Palat Sabha or whatever it is,
okay.
right?
Well, hold on. Now you are also touching another point that is like decentralization, power sharing, and regional development. So you can now that's a separate area, but you can go ahead now. As you said, there's another discussion. Main discussion what we want to have in Sri Lankan new constitution is now what kind of, for example, regional development. For example, as you said, urban versus rural divide, and then Colombo versus Batticlo. So it's not only about religion or ethnicity alone, but also there's a disparity between regions and provinces. So now I want to ask then the question again: should we have like a unitary state of the constitution, or can it be federal, or it should be something different in terms of decentralization and economical homogenization between regions and states?
Okay, here's the problem I see. In Sri Lanka, we say we need to maintain unitary status. That's fine, right? But at the same time, we introduce Palat Sabha system, right, which is basically like in Canada, like in states, like a governing system with a layer to the governing system, right? So our constitution, actually, if you go back to our constitution still doesn't accept that concept. Like, even though there is Palat Sabha, right, it doesn't. Here's the problem. Like, for example, in other countries where there are provinces, the provinces decide what development they need to do and how much capital required, and then grant the, like they request the submission to the main government, right? And the main government allocate funds based on the, like, they have a mechanism to allocate that funds. So that's the way it works. But our constitution, even though we are operating like a federal, we are operating like a provincial and federal government in virtually, but our constitution still doesn't recognize it.
Okay, so hold on. Now I want to kind of intervene here. Now, if you look at countries like United States or Canada, they are own as federal countries. So the idea of Saint and the state, 25 Saint and the state has been defined by the constitution itself. But now Sri Lanka kind of started constitution making as a unitary country, and it became republic in 72. So, but then all this decentralized arrangement like provincial councils came later. So are you suggesting that you include this decentralized arrangement in the constitution? Of course, now, if you said, now we have this very interesting case of T-Toms, the post-tsunami financial kind of agreement with LTT and the Sri Lankan government that time, and then JDP went to the courts, and it was defeated in the challenge in the Supreme Court. So based on the constitution arrangement, it was rejected as illegal, even though it was seen by a lot of people as a way of reconciling that time between LTT and the government. So, for example, now a lot of so-called new challenges or new arrangement will be nullified in the name of constitution or being illegal. So, I am suggesting that we have to include this decentralized arrangement in the new constitution.
No, that's a separate topic, right? If we go with this Palat Sabha system, then our constitution should be exactly like in India, exactly like in Canada, and the provincial governments must have their like the power and decide which areas need to be developed and how, like, they need a lot of power, right? But personally, I am not thinking we need a second layer of government. I don't like this Palat Sabha system. Personally, that's my personal thing. But right now, I know there are limitations. They can't do it, right? So what I say is, we are operating like a federal and provincial system, right? But our constitution doesn't recognize that. And we have to either go by the constitution, or we have to either go by the Palat Sabha system.
Okay. Point is valid, but I want also Chatura's argument on that. Or idea.
Yes. Basically, I'm not against or either favor for the provincial council system, but I strongly believe when we are like transferring power to provincial councils, the police and the land power should held by the government. There are good reasons for my argument. Sorry, I didn't get it.
Central government, when you mention, like for example, provincial council is also government. You're saying the police.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Police and the land power should help by the central government. So the reason is like the police and the land powers are. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead. I'm fine.
Because now the police and the land powers are more sensitive, and due to the past experience that we have experienced, like these provincial councils, the head is the chief minister, and there are a lot of power abuses, and like they are like these provincial councils are basically like white elephants right now. So they got these police and the land powers. Uh, I mean, they will like use this power, and without knowledge of the central government, they could not control this.
Now, if you for example, if you go with the uh,
Sorry, sir, I can't hear you properly.
if we can go along with the amendments to the existing constitution, now there are provisions based on amendment that you can also decentralize police and land powers. But that's a part of the current constitution. It's not implemented, but it is possible. You are saying that should be kind of withdrawn or not should be in the new constitution.
I think I can.
So they go.
I think we were hearing your voice.
Now, actually, I have been kind of studying different federal models for last actually around 50 years, particularly Belgian model, Canadian model, Indian model, Swiss model. But then now, when I actually discussed this with a lot of people out of Sri Lanka, in Europe and in South Asia, but also in the UK. Now, for example, a lot of people, including Sri Lanka, the idea of federal ideas, I think kind of seem negative. Of course, maybe due to personal historical experience, experience for the naming the use of term by the current parties. So this is seen as like a taboo in Sri Lankan context. But as you said, if you look at a lot of countries like US, Canada, the federal countries are doing very well in terms of decentralization and including different units and include as well as regional disparities. However, now when I talk to, like for example, people in Britain, now they have unitary, actually they don't have a constitution, but unitary arrangement, but they have strong decentralization like Scottish country, Scottish kingdom, I don't know how to call it, like Wales and Scottish, they have very decentralized power, including parliament, but it is not federal. So, now, based on the local context, can we have a unitary system of government and strong decentralization? Maybe different, like the culture, fundraising, different domains can be decentralized. Like Thakur said, we can have military, national security, or even I don't know police or things like that, as in the central of in the federal government. So how we this solve this issue of power sharing as well as maintaining the country as one country? That's what you want to put in again?
Sorry, I didn't get the last part
Okay, but my
because
main question
your
is,
voice is breaking up.
since federalism or federal arrangement is really attacking Sri Lanka, uh, so most of us believe in decentralization and power sharing. Can we have an arrangement? Yeah, you can go ahead.
Your voice is breaking.
Yeah,
Your voice is breaking.
breaking.
Yeah. Huh?
How can you hear?
It's slightly okay.
I can hear the headphone. Let me try this again. Okay, so if you can go ahead with your decentralized or regional arrangements.
No, I personally, I don't looking at Canada and Sri Lanka is like 180th, 180 of Canadian, geographically, right? And Sri Lanka really needs, I strongly believe, it really needs only 2 layers of government: the central government and the provincial, the not Palat Sabha, we call the
Local government.
the municipal things. Okay, that's all. Even now, if North, the people in North can come to an agreement to that, that will be a major advantage for the development of the country, because we are spending a lot of money unnecessarily for Palat Sabha, and that's a huge waste. But I don't know how realistic this is right now, because there's an ethnic problem and all that stuff. So I don't know if my suggestion is realistic or not, right? That's the issue. But having said that, the problem is our constitution is not actually addressing which way we are governing. The constitution is so unitary, but we are operating like Palat Sabha, right? So in modern day constitutions, Chaminda, like completely, their main target is to eliminate this second class citizen scenario. Second class, when I say second class citizen, there are caste systems and all that stuff, right? And so they need to introduce mechanisms so that people cannot discriminate. When I say discriminate, so caste systems and all that stuff are there. At the same time, economic disparities, as I said, like in Canadian Constitution, I think chapter 14 has it's called equalization and disparities, and it clearly identifies like how we need to allocate money to various areas for development. When we do that, what happens is a dictator like Mahinda Rajapaksa cannot take like whole money, the national wealth, and build a port where somewhere like that's unnecessary. And so they can't do like that, and they have to select which areas and how to develop and what money is required, and so that kind of like regional like equalization and eliminate the disparities. That's number one. Number two, now because we are coming to an era where a lot of people are talking about the economic growth, how to get the economic growth, right? And that part, like a lot of constitutions like Vietnam has nicely addressed that. If you go to Vietnam article like 50 to 55 or something, you can see like how they have addressed that. Our constitution, there's no single word about the economic development, and like which way they are targeting the development, and which way they want to integrate with the rest of the world. There's nothing there in our constitution, so they need to include that. And so that's the second part.
Okay, you want to continue, or can I intervene?
Yeah, the others can
yeah, okay. So now, as I told you, now I'm very right when you say there's no kind of arrangement or power decentralization. There's no way of equalizing or homogenizing the economic development. But also, like for example, 2 million Sri Lankans are out of Sri Lanka, people like you. Now, also now our nation or our nation as a Sri Lankan country is not only limited to Sri Lanka, so maybe defining how you get, I also get inputs from people living out of Sri Lanka. That's also another kind of discussion we have. Also, like other minorities of like the homosexuals, gay, lesbian community, ethnic problems, religious and regional disparities. So these things should be discussed. I don't know whether the constitution can discuss all these things, but there are main governing issues in the country as of today. So you want to add something?
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe that by the present constitution, the minorities were or any other minority community were discriminated purposefully, because by the 13th Amendment of this constitution, the equality of the single language and the Tamil language as a state language was guaranteed, and it is practically in there. But we need to sharp these some of the grants provided by this constitution. We need to sharp furthermore. For example, the human rights, and also we can improve the human rights and the equal rights. I mean, of accessing the economic freedom, and also the one important another aspect is the right to know the information act, which was promised by this government as well, but didn't implement yet. So we need to give the equal access by the constitution fundamentals, so that then for every citizen can have access without discriminating. But doesn't matter of what's their race, religion, caste. So we should include these grants fundamentally to the constitution. So I think
it's not very clear to me now. For example, you said correctly, sometimes you have no provisions because there's not intentional discrimination. Now, actually, a lot of people, particularly like when it comes to it's like a caste, one scholar argued that
So your voice is breaking due to some reason.
oh,
yes.
okay. Yes, I think I have opened too many windows. Let me close them. Now, what I was saying is, like in India, for example, you have mentioned caste and then arrangements how to overcome caste discrimination. But in Sri Lanka, the constitution is blind on caste, for example. Right? Now, should we address these issues by uh, writing them? Now, negative side will be then you kind of give validity to those issues. Now, if you look
Yes.
at Sri Lankan caste, for example, it's not very dominant like India, but then you have caste conscious, caste consideration in special events like marriages. The point is, should we let them die or should we address them in the constitution? That's the one thing. But when you say, yeah.
Chaminda, no, the constitution, like it has to be pretty concise, right? Like like it's not elaborating too much, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
The constitution should be concise, but after that, the constitution, all that goes back to the judiciary system, right? So when it goes to the judiciary, the judiciary should take care of all kind of things. For example, racial profiling. It is happening. What I can see is like a person who has come to a country like here, and exactly like if he's a too sensitive mind person, he can really see sometimes the racial profiling happening in Sri Lanka. I'll tell you a number of examples I can bring.
Yeah. I agree. A lot of yes.
The standard is different. The standard is different. When we are living here, for example, right? We feel, for example, if I go to a school and I can clearly talk to in front of any assembly, I can talk about my child. For example, I'll tell you, for example, one example. There was an incident in my child's school, right? So when one student was crossing the road, he met with an accident, right? So I wanted to have a separate person, right, to escort my child from one junction to the another, right? I'm taking me as an example, but a different guy talk about it, right? And he jumped in and he immediately brought his point out, and he said, this is my child's right and I need that. And I cannot when that person said like that, if it were in Sri Lanka, then everybody would ask, oh, you are talking about only about your child.
Yeah, right? One child.
Yeah, because it is my child. That's what I'm talking about. Nobody asked here that question. Nobody asked. Everybody respected his opinion.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. I think this is an interesting point. Now, I just want to actually ask this issue also. Now, for example, Sri Lanka is a very majoritarian. It has a lot of majoritarian thinking. When in a society, in a small gathering, or even non-profit political forum, when you say like if 50%, more than 50% people are for something, then they don't really care much about like 20% or 30% even 49% of concerns. So Kitsiri, can you kind of elaborate on that? This how to take care of minority concerns or minority concerns and issues or things not addressed by the mainstream, like what you said. So how to handle that in a constitutional arrangement, minority protection, for example.
That's exactly what they did in the States, like after Martin King died, right? That's what exactly they did. They completely brought that in, right? And they drafted it into the Constitution. Racial discrimination, ethnic discrimination, all those discriminations were banned, right? Completely, right?
Right.
But Constitution did not elaborate that. Constitution
Right.
equally treat the people, but then there's a judicial system in the Constitution they address. So they went into the judicial system and introduced whole bunch of laws. Racial profiling, what does that mean? Okay, and if you do this, these are the consequences. And then public swearing. For example, public swearing. If you are in a discussion, if I swear at you, then what happens? You are hesitant to bring your ideas forward.
Exactly. Yes.
So public
that's a very important and valid point here, because here you always have majority pressure to talk, to protest, to oppose, because a lot of people disagree, and therefore you feel uncomfortable to raise your issue as a minority, as a single. Yes. So you are saying that should be included or added to the judicial system, incompatible with the the concept should be in the constitution, but arrangements of protections, arrangement of mechanism should be in the judicial system.
That's right. Right now, what has happened, like this social media, right? All these countries right now, they are treating social media is if I express something in social media, it's public.
Right.
That's how they treat, because the media has changed right now. So they have brought that social media, right, and treating it as public. So if I say 4-letter words in Canada, right, it's public. Anybody can sue you. No problem. Anybody can successfully sue you. Okay. So they have to bring all that, because I can see in social media going, like in Sri Lanka, the words people are using.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. Okay, Chatura.
Yes.
Comments.
Now
we have several issues. One is now, for example, there are new development, for example, which we don't see that in Constitution. Maybe we can't see in the Constitution at all. Now, how you manage now? One thing is those minor issues, not really minor, but issues of the minority, can be of ethnic group, can be of gender minority, or any other concerns. How you take care of that, like examples of what Kitsiri said. The second thing is the challenge due to technological development, not necessarily social media, but like we are talking about, like 3D printing, maybe nanotechnology. Now, also these challenges, these changes can also have implication of social life. So, should Constitution consider those aspects as well?
Yeah, I mean the political issues for minorities, especially in Sri Lanka, the minority race groups. There was a fair attempt made to address those by provincial council system, and that's why the provincial council system was there, especially for the north and east. And I think the attempt was fair, but still there are some concerns, like they don't given enough power to resolve their own problems, and the power given to them can be controlled at any time by central government without being fair.
Now, I want to put it with the series now. I have been, for example, a person coming from Brunei, for example.
You're breaking up again.
Yeah, I was saying that as a person coming from Brunei, for example, my main claim has been, like, the provincial councils or any form of regionalization or decentralization should consider not than Estolo, but maybe Hambantota, Brunei, Basula, because those are regions or provinces which are not, so rich or
you are not clear enough.
Yeah, the voice is breaking, Chaminda, due to some
I mean,
reason.
it's like echoing.
Yeah. Now it's already disconnected. Okay, so what I was, can you hear me better now?
It's like it's not sharp. I think it's
It's just breaking, chirping.
breaking and echoing.
Now, maybe I mute Siri and try again. Now better? Can you hear me now? I can see that.
No.
You unmuted. I don't know. Everything is under control here. Anyway, I keep on continuing. You can type also. Now, Arshad, I think joins me United Arab Emirates. Arshad, welcome you. You can hear speaker. Okay, I was saying now the decentralization should, or federalism or power decentralization of any form, like provincial council, should not only consider ethnic aspect, should also consider poverty and disempowerment in other areas, like as I mentioned, can be Kumbhmela, can be South, can be Batula, because now this fiscal arrangement or power sharing solutions like provincial council should not only focus on solving ethnic problems. Of course, that is also part of the purpose, but then regional disparity, empowering or wealth transfer to not so prosperous regions. So that should be also consideration in the new constitution. So when we talk about provincial council and North and East problem, I think that's a dominant discussion in Sri Lanka. I think provincial council is for North and East. But I think it should be more towards, if you look at Sri Lankan economy, 50% of GDP comes from Western province alone. So if you want to develop other regions, I always give the example of UK and Germany. Now in the UK, all the good things are actually centered in London. That is like the capital, but there is no like something similar city in other part of UK. Whereas in Germany, you don't even identify like a one-based city because it's a federal country and you have Munich, Cologne, Stuttgart, Berlin, Frankfurt, not for different reasons, and they are all equally developed. Maybe there are differences. So, if you can have a decentralized model, federal or otherwise, you can think about more homogenized development in more than one nuclear city like Colombo, but look at multiple development, multiple cities like what you see in countries like US, also in Germany. Yes, go ahead. If you unmute your mic, your mic is muted. We don't hear you. If you unmute your mic and speak.
Your mic.
If you unmute the mic, we don't hear you.
Hey, unmute your mic, then we can hear you. Your mic is mute. Just click on your photo in the button. There's a mute symbol. Unmute the mic.
No, it will not get unmuted. But normally when it speak, automatically get unmuted. Unmute button is the center, second button after just because it is center of middle. Till we find out, you can actually you are still unmuted, mic is muted. So you can go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Sorry. Chaminda,
Yes. Go ahead.
yeah, what I said is like basically two things so far. Okay, I'm just I'm just recapturing. And one thing is like nobody should feel second class citizens, and there must be enough enough statements and enough mechanisms introduced to the constitution and also to the judiciary to eliminate that. Second thing is the economic disparities, how the wealth is distributed has to be there. And most important, in Vietnam, right? Vietnam is one of the countries, like I lived there about 2 years and I know how they developed the country. And one thing we can learn is they had huge salary gaps, between these professions, right? That was a major drawback that they could not, address, right? And even in Canada, United States, they have it right now, but not like Sri Lanka. So what they said was they introduced this to the constitution, how to carry the country to like to eliminate the economic disparity. All sectors of economy are important. They introduced that purposely to the constitution. All sectors of economy are important, and then they elaborated that in number of articles, in number of appendices. They elaborated that, like the professions. For example, an engineer, a doctor cannot be superior to a carpenter, because that's very important. If we need to try hard to bring this salary, the wages gaps, like we need to bring hard. So that's one of the important things all these developed countries are now talking about. And like without that you can never imagine a developed country.
You see, now I have a question on that. You can speak when you are ready. Now, you see, now it's so, unlike Sri Lanka, now we are talking about different equalization mechanisms in terms of distribution of wealth. But now, aren't we in a stage where we need to focus more on growth? And as a result of that, as a part of that, encourage some professions against other professions, because otherwise the people, the motivation to grow up or go higher in the ladder will be discouraged. So if you make all the, for example, doctor equal to carpenter, people's motivation to go for education will be discouraged. So how do you get that?
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, like, they need to treat equally. At least they need to establish there's a minimum amount of money that everybody needs to receive, right? So that they can have a fairly equal lifestyle, right? So the way they do it, is actually they use the tax system, right? Basically, right now the only mechanism is you tax, and then you tax wealthy a little bit more, and then distribute through tax systems and the subsidies and the small, the lower category, right, is much benefited by the tax system. In Sri Lanka, unfortunately, it's not. This is one of the reasons I'm telling, like, this free education for universities, especially free education for universities, is not working in Sri Lanka.
Now, if you look at in the paper, there are a lot of welfare, free health, free education, free access to a lot of other public services. So my question is, in a country where you don't have enough wealth to distribute, now also we have inheritance of social democratic traditions like 1970s, 60s, so if we introduce more protection to poor people, will it not slow down our economic growth? That's the question.
Jaminda, I'm not sure, like, if I understood correctly, because your voice was a little bit chirping here.
Okay. What I'm saying is, you are right when you say that our free education or even free health, they don't work well. However, if you look at in the paper, we have a lot of public good delivered free, education, health, and other services. So, if you encourage more welfare, more protection, more, let's say, minimum wages, for example, government is trying to do that. But if you encourage or introduce more protection mechanisms, this low level of people, maybe for farmers, maybe for other fishermen, will not that discourage growth. So you tax rich people more, but then distribute that to low level of people. In a developing country, should we have that?
I'm not sure if I understood correctly. Are you saying like if we introduce this tax benefits to the lower category, then there will be a protectionism? Is that what you're saying?
Will there be discouragement for people to be rich, for example, to earn more? Because if you earn more, you will be taxed more. So will it not kind of discourage countries growth?
No. The way they do it is this. Go to any country, like in any of the countries that are developed in this last 2 decades. If you look at number of characteristics, there's a nicely working tax system. The more taxes they pay, the country is always like flourishing. Okay. All the developed countries has one unique character, that's actually a tax system. So Sri Lanka, like Sri Lanka is actually directly are not getting direct taxes. They are getting everything indirectly. It's like stealing, right? But in here, every person by person, individual people have to file their own taxes at the end of the year. Okay. The purpose of that is basically for everybody to understand, the government to understand my income, and based on my income, then there are a whole bunch of other avenues for my kids to access. For example, a lower income guy, when his kids goes to university, right, he has a lot of other subsidies that he can access. The higher income guy can, right? And so by that they try to make equal, like equal. So personal evaluation is required. But now because we are talking about the constitution doesn't have to elaborate all that. It's all about like how we do this purpose, like what mechanism should be in place. That's a different thing, right? But in the constitution, we have to put those sentences in first of all. Like in Vietnam, we go to Vietnam constitution, like starting from Article 50. What they say basically is all sectors of economy are important, and the Vietnam constitution, Article 51, 52, 53, 54 is all about making all professions equal and equal status. The making society understand each and every profession is required and they are equally valuable.
Okay, so basically you are saying that it's not only about political rights, but also economical rights for equality, justice, economic justice should be included as a part of the constitution.
That's right. It is very important. It should be introduced. Right now, it is not there.
No. Right now, only the political rights are there. Shatura, any ideas?
Yeah, I mean, I agreed on that economic freedom should be guaranteed and by the constitution, but according to the today's the world economic context, I think the pay salary gaps all decided by the market economy. So I'm not sure how a government can interfere to like minimize these wage gaps and the other benefits. It should more come within society, I believe. But of course, for government, for their jobs, the government jobs, they can apply this principle. But
I'm disturbing you a little one. I'm not
sure.
saying, for example, say here, right? If I'm an engineer, if I am paid $120,000 a year, right? And a cleaner, for example, say a cleaner, an office worker will get $60,000. That's based on market economy. That's correct. Okay.
Yeah.
But the government, that $60,000 guy has, when his kids go to school, right? He has a lot of access to other benefits, right, than me. And that is how they make it, like make everybody equal. Like the tax system works very well.
Okay, so now simple example in Sri Lanka is price of the diesel. So the price of diesel is subsidized to petrol owners as well as I don't know, the cheapest. So that should happen to public good, for example, government, other benefits, or may even, for example, roads. Do you have toll roads in Canada? It's all subsidized, free.
No, like when the end user, for example, say the toll roads are mainly private, right? When they charge the equal amount from everybody, right? Here, when they charge, but okay, you pay all that, right? And then at the end of the year in April, everybody is doing their tax submissions.
Okay.
Right? So in May, we all get something called the notice of assessment. That if you go to Singapore, you have that. If you go to Malaysia, you have that. Vietnam, they have it. What does it mean? In that notice of assessment, it clearly says this is how much you earn, this is how tax you, right? And there are various tax brackets, right? So at the end of the year, if the government feels, yes, I still have to pay more taxes, I have to pay that tax immediately before a deadline, right? So the market economy is different. Market economy works very well here. But the government, at the end of the year, the government comes back and takes money from the guy who earned more. And so, but then there are people asking, okay, then is there a point that everybody trying to be an engineer or by doing hard work, and then everybody can be a carpenter? No, it's not working. People have different mindset. People have a lot of different mindset. Like if they want to be an engineer, they want to be an engineer, and they don't care like how other things are happening. It's so.
Now we understand what you are saying. So we are looking at how to localize that thinking to have. Now, of course, as you said, this is a global discussion on economic policy making, also liberal markets and protected markets, social democratic arrangements. So but now what you are suggesting basically is have clause or have some provisions about equal treatment or equal access to economic goods in addition to political goods. So, if you talk about constitutional terms, but I think Chatura has no problem with that also. Now, how you translate that into mechanisms and tools and other arrangements, tax systems, is something it's beyond constitution, but maybe through other arrangements, tax policy, for example. Okay. Any other things now? Did we discuss the religion, and Kitsiri? Can you claim your religious affiliation since you said secular?
Well, by birth, like I was a Catholic, but I'm not following any religion.
Okay.
I'm not just personal.
Do they ask religion in Canada, for example, in public?
Sorry. No.
No. Okay. That's interesting.
You cannot ask your age. You cannot ask your ethnicity. You cannot ask. And none should be there on your resume. The resume.
Yeah. So for example, So interesting. Now that is another risk. I think we don't have much time. But one thing is, now should we be like religious blind in the constitution, or should we not only religion but especially religion, language? Should constitution be discouraged preferring them, or should we have provision? Because there's another discussion now. Countries like Sri Lanka, India, they have multiplicity of religions, ethnicity, and language. One way is to give equal recognition to all of them, or else disregard all of them and be secular.
Bad way to go. That's a bad way. If you put religion in the constitution, you are creating so many problems. And just get rid of any religion from the constitution.
Language? What about language?
The language can be like if you have 3 official languages, yes, recognized. But religion is something that somebody has said, and somebody has said we have never experienced this. A lot of people have never experienced. Jesus has said something. Buddha has said something. Yeah, like it's all beliefs, right? It's all beliefs, and so get that out of the thing, because you are right now. We are making the law is actually, we are making a constitution, people are making constitution. If the gods are making constitutions, that's a total different
No,
thing.
no, no. But now you have to understand the ground reality here. Now it is considered that Sri Lanka has been, at least for many years, many many centuries, uh, grew with Buddhist kind of a influence. So
No,
it is
Buddhist roots are there.
right. So
Buddhist,
therefore, now one option is uh, we recognize Buddhism and other religions like Islam or Christianity and what is the other one?
Hindu.
Christianity, Islam, and Hinduism. So one is like free for all. The second thing is, as you said, make like India doesn't have religion in the constitution. It's a secular constitution, but you have a lot of religious practices in the government, in private places, very dominant. In all offices, you have some religious status or something. But in Sri Lanka, we don't really have religion in our day-to-day life, at least in the official manner. But it is in the constitution. Chatura, what is your opinion? Hold on.
Yeah, I mean, the intensity of influence of religion is, I believe, that compared to countries like the Middle East, is very less in here. But even though, and we can see the Buddhist is the main religion of the country. The constitution has accepted some of the laws in Islamic too, especially the Islamic marriage law and some other law and provincial laws like the Tesawalamai law regarding the land has accepted up to some extent. So I think if we are going to address all religions, all provincial laws, I think that would be a mess. So
Right.
best thing is like go ahead with a secular constitution.
Okay, okay, right, good, fair enough. Any other points you want to address? It's Siri.
yeah, there's another thing that I want to really discuss. This one, you know, even though in United States, right, they have the Second Amendment, right, the Second Amendment rights, and that is why they have these gun problems, right? Like in the states, like they say, the government, if the government comes on people, attacking people, right, because the government has huge firepower capability, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what, like, people need to have at least a gun, right?
Ah.
And so they introduced that Second Amendment, right? And that is why they cannot get rid of that. But now it has created so many other problems, right?
Yes,
The
yes.
gun violence is a huge issue, right?
Yeah.
But now they are driving in, like, the whole world is. Now let's talk about this. United States did that only once in their progression, right? The government came on people and killed people only once. But if you really look at all other countries, all these other countries like Sri Lanka, how many times government came on people and killed people,
Exactly.
right? And
When sorry, when in the US they kill people like government, which occasion?
during their civil war,
Ah, okay, okay, all right, okay. Sorry,
their
go ahead.
civil war, they did that, right?
Okay,
And
okay.
then
Sri Lanka for last 30, 40 years, 3 times at least. Some
that's
continuous.
right.
Yeah.
So, but I am not suggesting people should have something like a Second Amendment and people should have guns. But now the whole world is, even in the United States, because the gun violence is a huge issue, they are right now discussing how to still keep
Freedom.
the motives of Second Amendment, right?
Ah,
But get rid of this gun violences, right?
right, right.
And keep the motives. This is what they are discussing right now. What they're discussing in countries like, for example, Syria, right? The whole war, actually, when Bashar al-Assad started the war, right?
Syria, you know Syria?
Yeah, Syria. I'm
Okay,
just
okay.
as an example, right? And people had no power. So he came on people and started killing all people,
Right,
right?
right,
All these countries, like in Sri Lanka, it happened 3 times. No.
right,
So what they're saying is, they must be able to form a citizen movement, right?
right,
in such a situation, they must be able to form a huge citizen movement, and that citizen movement, the UN or otherwise any other world organization, must be able to recognize that citizen movement immediately and intervene to stop that.
Yeah. Now it's interesting you said, because now of course we have also as individuals right to go to Geneva or complaints to international bodies, but based on our maybe ignorance or political culture or for other reasons, like a lot of people can consider that as you are traitors of the country. Now you are saying that people should be, of course, they should be able to challenge the government as people, maybe as individuals, as groups, also get the justice from external organizations.
Whenever they require, yes, the external organization, there must be a mechanism. The external organizations don't decide like arbitrarily, right?
Right.
Will decide based on a lot of voting, and so they must be able to act. And I'm not, like, when I say this, people may be saying, hey, you are now against, like you are against this, the Tamil entity Evo or whatever. I'm not saying that. I'm saying Sri Lankan government after our independence came on people and it's happening. It's continuously happening, unfortunately.
Okay, so you are saying there should be more mechanism for protection of people against government.
Government brutality.
Okay. And especially country like Sri Lanka, we have a lot of experience.
That's right. And flourishing, if the government is providing all these, the resolving all the matters, and they are
the only legitimate force to carry weapons.
That's right.
Of course, excluding avant-garde. Now we have avant-garde also a legitimate entity. Okay, Chatura, any comments on that? People power or more mechanism to protect people, even pressures or brutality, as Kisiri mentioned, against government?
Yeah, I mean, the only solution I see is like we should strengthen the judiciary system. Now, in our present constitution, also there was the clear division between. I mean, not the clear, but there's like a norm that the parliament, judiciary, and the executive should not interfere to each other into their job roles. But practically we have seen the judiciary being influenced by either the parliament or the executive, and the basis for that is they say the parliament is more supreme than the judiciary. So they always use that term, I mean that judgment given by the parliament to influence the judiciary. So in that case, now if something unfair is done by violating all citizens' fundamental rights by executive or the parliament, the practically citizens cannot challenge it, because they are the parliament or executive. They try to cover for their what they call the parliament Varaprasad.
Privileges.
Yeah, privileges, parliamentary privileges. So that situation should be abolished by the new constitution. The judiciary should be given more power, and as well as there should be a mechanism to control the judicials as well. Otherwise, they will going to misuse their power. So
this recent example now. For example, I'm actually with the Prime Minister, but when he said by naming people, some people inside the Parliament, of course he can do it, and nobody can sue also that. But if you look at this as a other way of example, in fact now this guy can be like a celebrity because Prime Minister referred him, so it's good for him. But the point is now can that guy or somebody else go to the Supreme Court or anywhere against Prime Minister?
Yeah, and another aspect is about the access of laws. Now, for in our education, in our school education, I don't know now is the situation has changed, but in our days there are no, I mean, legal lessons or place we can learn about
sorry to disturb you. I couldn't control my temptation. Now, for example, we see a lot of enthusiasm in intervening political discussion, criticizing government, attacking politicians. But when it comes to real constitution making, nobody is there. So the people talk all funny things on the Facebook and in the street, but when you hear the words constitution or constitution arrangements making, people are not interested, not maybe they are afraid. That is a big issue. I mean, when we had this, the political campaigning hangout, we had a lot of people. But I think Chatura mentioned they don't know that they are going to be governed by the constitution. That's very important and influencing their lives. But when it comes to real consultation or contribution, people are still either ignorant or not interested or not capable. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
So I think
Let Chatura complete. Yeah, sorry.
So the school education textbooks should be included these chapters. What is the fundamental role, laws? What are your rights and everything? Otherwise, like
sex education.
Yeah, that too. And also in the current law system, also there are so many absolute laws.
Right.
For example, the attitudes of like for homosexual marriages, and recently I saw there's a grants provided by some old act that women cannot buy liquor, so that could lead to the shop owner fine or something. So these absolute acts were there, but practically it may not active. But
for example, you mentioned the gay rights. Now it's a global movement about like liberalizing gay rights and they are recognizing their right. But in Sri Lanka, it's a criminal offense based on some act. I not act actually ordinance of British time. So maybe I mean, we should reflect on this at least, not legalize, but abortion is very old. It's discussion in the world, but in Sri Lanka they are like non-existent. Maybe I actually recently saw in an article they're talking about. I think one group is trying to talk about this gay, lesbian, minority rights. It should be a part of constitution. Yeah, I'm not very informed about that. Okay, so if Kitsiri can add something, but I want to also talk about this sovereignty. Now you also partly discuss about that. Now one issue is now, of course, we will see in the future some regional arrangements like European Union. We are talking about regional arrangement of South Asia. So we're talking about different agreement. But now, what should be like the idea now? Then there are this shared sovereignty with let's say central I don't know, parliament or central some kind of body in South Asia, like European Parliament.
Your voice started. Your voice started chirping.
Okay, I'm very disappointed about this. But what I'm saying is now we have a very strong kind of idea about our strong sovereignty as a country, as a government. Now, one is this through the decentralization to, for instance, or states, we kind of dilute the sovereignty to regions. The second thing is, if you want to have a regional government like European Union and South Asian some kind of arrangement in the future, so should we talk about shared sovereignty?
I'm not. I don't hear very well. I don't know due to some reason.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but not clear. Previously it was better. I mean, something went wrong again.
I don't know. I can hear you very well. I'm talking about the sovereignty. I repeat again.
Yeah. I understood the question.
Two provisions, two aspects. One is to share sovereignty in the region or in the provincial government. The second thing is, can we give away part of our Sri Lankan sovereignty to international bodies? If that's going to be a South Asian parliament, like I was looking at European Union. So should we look at future possibilities of sharing sovereignty of the one thing is of the country, but you talk about supremacy of people against parliament, against judiciary, against executive. Second thing is sovereignty. Can you also talk about those 2 points?
Yeah, I mean, practically for regional aspect, I mean, if we can implement something like European Union, for example, now we are a member of SAARC, South Asian Union. So if we can implement something like that, I mean, from economical perspective, that would be more beneficial for all countries of that region. But the problem is when it's come to a practical situation now.
But that's what I was more focusing towards political union.
Political, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. For that time coming now, the people now there's a like in few past days, like there were like the controversial. I mean, there's a like discussions about building a bridge to India and Sri Lanka, and a lot of people in here like against that because they consider as a threat to our sovereignty. So with kind of a mindset, I can't imagine like do majority of our people would agree to that, because to pass such a constitution grants, you should have go to some kind of, I mean, to election to, I mean, ask for the vote for the majority. So for sovereign,
It's also on other countries, for example, European Union, to be part of that or to go out of European
yeah,
area, you have to hold people in heart. But what I'm saying is, of course, as you say, awareness and our experience and the insensitivities or insecurities we have are dominant. But what I'm asking is practical implementation, different thing. But
yeah.
based on your idea, you think should we consider the possibilities, future possibilities of integration and also decentralization in the country?
Yeah, yeah, I think that's possible, and that's something we should go for it. I don't
Okay.
see the major security threat or
Okay.
on that.
Actually, your experience on that or your
Uh,
opinion?
yeah, I have seen this in this way. Okay, let me
Uh,
put it. For example, um, I'm not going to marry somebody if I don't like her, right?
right. Right.
This is exactly what is happening in number of parts of the countries. Okay, for example, like Canada and United States, yeah, there are agreements. They are working very well. Okay, but if you go to the countries like China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Japan, these all are like the same origin people, but
But hate each other.
they don't go together. Okay, if they
Exactly.
go together, yes,
Right.
they don't marry, and if they go together, like they will be the world power. Okay, it doesn't.
Exactly. So you are saying that it's an Asian problem, or at least South Asian problem, that you can't have a unified. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it's not working. If it is working, Chaminda, it should have already worked. SARC is just a bloody waste of money, and it's not working. And I'll tell you, and that is the biggest problem. A lot of economists here are in the Harvard and talking about. We have 1.1 billion people in that region and less than 1 trillion economy.
Right.
Okay,
Yes. Yeah.
and in here, United States, Canada, Mexico, right? I told you, remember, like in the
Yeah.
previous discussion,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's about like 540 million people, but 19 trillion economy. So
Right.
all talking about like how can we make this work? Like 1 billion people, brilliant guys actually, like
Yeah.
like
Individually.
really
Individually.
brilliant guys. Yes, and
Individually, when they go out of the region.
that's right. And also there are natural resources too. You cannot compare it with Africa, but there are a lot of natural
And
resources
also
too.
a lot of similarities, as you say. Same
Yeah,
origin. Exactly.
that's right. But why the economy? So as long as the economy stays like this in that part of the country, there will be whole bunch of agreements, suggestions to India to lead, and that is why CEPA is there, right? That is why everybody is suggesting to see India has no way, like India, they are pressing India to suggest the, like to come up with something to get to overcome this problem, right? And so, but unfortunately, Sri Lanka and India, even historically, they were not going together, and I don't know why, but it's not happening. And I cannot even imagine it will happen, even if you totally open to India. I cannot even, it's kind of like it's personal thing. Something's wrong. Sri Lankans would like to go mostly with Westerners and other nations than Indians.
Okay, hold on, hold on. Now, basically, we are talking about economical, not economical aspect, but political aspect. But now also we have to look at the new dimension. Actually, if you look at regional integration, regional cooperation, India has been like a sleeping giant. India was not interested. So whereas Pakistan, Bangladesh, even forming SAARC, Bangladesh actually started with the support of Sri Lanka and Pakistan. But very recently, now India has a policy to encourage regional arrangement, regional integration, all these things. So now we have, I don't trust really it's going to be the key, but we have a qualitative difference of Indian attitude toward. In fact, I remember a few years ago when I talk about regional integration, a lot of Indian scholars ask me, you don't use that word. It's not like, it is like we are becoming one family as in marriage. So they didn't like it. But now Modi government is using the term even regional integration. So what I'm saying
It
is
should
not,
be. Sri Lanka should be in there. Like Sri Lanka should go with agreements and do all these kind of things and make it work. That's what we are saying. Just go
no,
with
yeah,
agreement.
my question was, when it comes to sovereignty, should constitution consider any possibility of sharing? Can be part of being a regional political union, or even uh, decentralizing power to different local units like provinces. Should we have a different understanding of sovereignty, or should be like strong one country sovereignty?
Chaminda anymore, right? Right now, in my mind, right? Not like in back in 19th century, right? Right now, everything is like economically integrated.
Right.
The only thing is like the sovereignty we are talking about. The sovereignty is the land sovereignty. You know, like it's like the countries are different. There are still borders, right? And the world is not one big giant country, and still, right?
Right.
And,
Right.
but in all other sense, like economically, the world is a big giant country. That's how it works. So Sri Lanka should go with the agreements, and even the constitution should recognize that
Right.
it
Right.
it will never harm our sovereignty.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough.
I don't think it will harm our sovereignty.
So I can I get your point, like to the other communities, saying that we should not be afraid of our political sovereignty, even though we have different arrangements, different cooperations with other
Absolutely,
countries. There's
absolutely,
no.
yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Yes,
So
Chandu,
adding to
yes.
that, yeah, adding to that, I mean, there's a small point as well. Now, in European Union, if one country does not like to be part of the European Union anymore, they could hold a referendum in their country and
Exactly.
they could leave
Go
the
away.
European Union. Yeah, but if we were become a part of like South Asian ally like this, the India is the biggest player,
Right.
and still we are under influence of India for most of
Right.
the issues, including ethnic.
Right.
That if one day we want to leave the whatever union or ally, it will not be easy as the European Union country do. So we have to like bear a lot of pressure from India and practically. So that could be a little issue
Right.
considering to enter in such agreement.
Yeah, yeah. Now your point is very valid, because unlike European Union, now European Union at least has two competing
Yeah,
big sites like France and Germany. So
Germany.
to have anything to go, at least they have to collaborate and then get the support of other countries. But in South Asia, the dominance of India as a single country, which shares borders with all South Asian countries, the only country which has shared borders with other countries, and the large economy, is normally threatening regional countries for any kind of collaboration. So it's, I mean, it's a yeah, concern. So maybe it's not really immediate issue that should be there, but just want to raise that. Okay. Any other comments?
Now, the
Yeah.
important one, right? Because we are talking about the constitution. As I said, I have gone through our constitution. The constitution itself contradicts. Like
Okay.
there are so many articles. The constitution contradicts.
Okay. Okay. Give me example. Another example. You talk about religion and what else?
The economic disparity, it doesn't talk about it, but it talks about like the supreme. Once you give the supremacy to one religion, it's out.
Okay.
Okay. Here's another one. Constitutions in countries should not be made by parliamentarians. Okay. Parliamentarians will authorize finally, but in Sri Lanka, throughout history, constitution made by somebody, and he comes to the parliament.
Top down. It's all top down.
No, he should not come. The guy who makes the constitution draft the constitution, because he is subjected to conflict of interest. For example, Vinod Silva and G.L. Peiris, now Jampati.
Yeah.
They all make the constitution and then they come to the parliament, and it's a complete, what do you call the conflict of interest.
So Ambika, for example, didn't go to parliament in India.
Yeah, even the parliamentarians finally, because the parliamentarians should authorize it, right? Or otherwise, 2/3 majority is required. Referendum.
You are saying your point is, I think, very clear. You are saying that the guy who makes the constitution should not be part of executing the constitution.
That's right. He should not.
At least it is approved. Maybe later he can.
Yeah, at least in that period, yeah. But then, like in other countries, right? It's totally independent people are making.
Okay. Good point.
The rules to the government are made by totally independent bodies. That is the
like
whole
people like us should do.
Abolishing executive presidency, right?
Yeah.
What's the whole problem? They are asking all parties to come together and come to an agreement, right?
Yes.
Parties have different agendas, and parties have total different agendas. They should not even ask that from the parties. They should make it, and then they should ask the people: is this the way you want to be governed?
Just a question. Now, in Sri Lankan constitution, does it say? Anyway, I can't remember. The people are supreme. Does it say?
It says right now in this 1978 constitution, right? 1978 constitution, the priority is basically, if you want to change anything in the constitution, it should be by 2/3 majority of the parliament.
But it doesn't say. Now in Pakistan constitution, it says the people are sovereign or people are supreme or something like that. But we don't have something like that, no? The people of Sri Lanka. Okay.
No.
Changes to the constitution by 2/3 majority, or second the referendum. Second, it should not be like that.
Now in the preamble, it doesn't say. Let me have a look. Preamble doesn't say that this is a sovereignty of people is supreme or something like that. No, they have the people of Sri Lanka.
It does. It does.
But it contradicts later.
The point is the guy who makes the constitution should not come to, and he cannot. Basically, in all other governments like that I have seen, it's a separate group. Sometimes people from other countries, and there's a separate constitution making panel, and they are the people who prepare that, and they won't be in the parliament, and it's a conflict of interest. That's what exactly G.L. Peiris did. And
I think in 19th Amendment they tried to achieve that by establishing the Constitution Council, but unfortunately there was a debate about the composition of the members. So only 3 members were allowed from the non-parliamentary members. So
against the constitution, conflict of interest, no? It could have been Okay, yes, I'm looking at the preamble and okay, so Now, I just wanted to highlight here now, one thing is you can't solve all the issues with the constitution. It will be a guideline or reference, but at the same time, we have to look at how they implement it as maybe through different other mechanisms, judiciary and other mechanisms, but at the same time, awareness of the right for education of people on legal and other rights of them also is important. As Katura mentioned, educating in the school, passing acts like Information Act. Uh, Anything else? In general, we have
Uh,
about 50 minutes
yeah.
maybe.
Another aspect I see like this, the provincial boundaries. I think
Mhm.
the current structure is kind of like it's unstructured and the basis is not clear. The how they divide the provincials like in administrative basis. So,
But
for example,
why it's important? Why it's important in terms of overall arrangements?
I mean
Mm.
the to minimize the discrimination for like the resource allocation.
Okay,
I
okay.
mean, for example, like the Uva province, like they have two districts, and Monragal and Badulla, and adjacent district was is Ampar. By this geographically, I mean, if you see in the Monragal and Ampar geographically, it's not. I mean, very different, but the
So, we
but
should not go into the details, but
yeah,
just to make it more like a high level. Now, in
yeah,
terms of any let's say resource allocation and consideration of powers, decentralization and autonomy or whatever it is, should we consider one is geography, one
yeah,
is ethnicity,
yeah.
one is I don't know religion, language, uh, what should we be sensitive to those things?
Yeah, I mean, we should consider from all these aspects, and I mean, we should create the more equal units for provincial. There can't be like, we know, I
Equal in
mean,
the sense, equal or what? Like geographical size or population or per capita income or what? Like,
I
this
mean,
is the
the
application equal. Yes.
equality of, I mean, resource, the per capita income,
Okay.
and should be based on that. I mean, there should have at least one, I mean, at least one or two urban cities, I mean, with
Mhm.
fair amount of urban living population. So these
So you
kind
are
of aspects.
suggesting now maybe we can have some scientific method of or consultative process of dividing the
Yes, yes,
to the. I think that's happening already, right? So they have started it.
yeah, they started to determine the boundaries, but that's in local government areas, right?
Okay.
Not in the provincial level.
Kitsiri, any comments on that? Because you have a very diversified country, no?
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't like any boundaries. First of all, okay. This is what I'm saying because when you are living in a large country and
Mhm.
when you look at it in perspective, for example, right? I drive from here to one of my project sites within 1.5 hours and 350 kilometers. Okay, and in 1.5 hours, um, sorry, 170 kilometers back and forth. So when you look at from that perspective, you just need only two levels of government
Okay.
for the country. I don't believe in this boundaries theory. I think what we need is basically a federal main government and the provincial, sorry, the municipal government, the municipalities and the federal. I don't like the Palat
Oh,
Sabha.
hold on, hold on. What about this Senate and like two levels of parliament?
No,
Senate and parliament.
like Sri Lanka, for a country like Sri Lanka, we don't need two levels of government, basically. Sorry,
Okay.
three levels of government. Right now, there are three levels of government. On top of that, there are many other administrative
Yes,
stuff
yes.
like completely bungled actually. It's not because
But
it's a
we have more complexities in terms of history, in terms of religion, in terms of ethnic conflict, in terms of other disparities. So address all these issues. Don't we have to be sensitive to such uh, differences?
no. That's why I'm saying get rid of religion, first of all, and treat everybody equal. and that's where we need to go. And right now there's a huge demand for that. And keep in mind, right now, like 23% is minority in the country. So 1 in 5 it belongs to a minority. It's huge. And so
Okay,
if
so
you
your point is basically you simplify administrative and political structures.
that's right, because once you introduce another layer of government, right?
Now we
What
already
happens?
have three, at least three.
Right now there are three.
Yes, but now I was thinking not all about the that three, but Parliament as upper Senate. How do you call it? Upper chamber and lower chamber.
But what do they do? If
I don't know. I mean, now in other
but,
countries like
but
Senate.
we don't want a situation like in America, right?
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
like they have the Senate, and then the Senate
Yes.
captured by one party, and the House is captured by another party, and they will never agree on anything. And
Okay,
it's like,
Chatura, what is your opinion on that?
I mean, we in past in 1960s we had this model, right? Senate and the lower chamber.
Rajya
So
Mantran Sabha.
yeah, but later like it converted like the nationalist and to the people's
Yeah, yeah,
representative,
yeah.
and they were like mixed and considering as equal level. So I don't think that will make a big difference having a Senate and the lower chamber. Finally, they all should responsible people.
Actually, yes. Sorry, both of you, can you quickly mention something about executive presidency or Westminster model or prime ministerial model? Now, what kind of government we should have?
okay, I can tell you clearly, I don't like the executive presidency, and
Okay. Uh,
but I had to use this word very cautiously. I don't like executive presidency, right? But if you look at the countries like the Vietnam, right, and Malaysia, Singapore, all these countries were developed by some
strong
kind of
leader.
authoritarian ruler.
Hmm.
Okay, and they had all these democratic mechanisms in the country, but all those countries except Europe, except America, right, the country's development came by one authoritarian ruler. Ho Chi Minh in Vietnam, Mahathir Mohamad, Lee Kuan Yew.
That's East Asian, now. It's only to East Asia. But you have example of total destruction of countries of dictators in Africa, for example, or Latin America.
That's why I'm saying, like, depending on the guy who comes into power, right? If depending on his vision, his education, and his background, he can develop. In all these countries, we can see one common thing. All these authoritarian rulers studied in Europe and other countries and went back to their country and developed it. It's
Okay,
the same
but okay,
thing.
very quickly, you prefer Westminster model of parliament, prime minister with parliamentary system or executive president for Sri Lanka based on the political culture, future needs, as well as other experience in the world. Just give a very brief answer.
I can tell you briefly, I prefer executive presidency, but now I don't prefer. I would have preferred, okay, but because of all this experience we had so far, right? It's not working in Sri Lanka because
Okay,
the politicians
okay,
are not studying enough the politics and how to develop a country and the trends in the world. They are not studying that enough. So because of that, there's no vision. I'll bring this to you. For example, if you look at the just in Toronto, right, in Canada, Toronto mayor, before he came to power, he had to outline his transit plan, the infrastructure plan. So people have a vetting process. Then once he becomes the mayor, all what he has is just to execute that plan nicely, because it's all gone through all the channels. In Sri Lanka, if it were
no,
running,
no, 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 no. Now I actually remember me another question. After you can ask the whole question about the president. Let me ask this question. Now I think that was also discussed. When we appoint our parliamentarians or president, there is no mechanism for them to actually be accountable in the next parliamentary election or presidential election, which is 5 years or 4 years. So,
Yep, I
how
don't.
we can,
It's not clear at all to me. I don't know. Like,
I'm asking how we exercise our control over politicians, the budget they propose. Now, at the moment, we only can uh, judge them or we only can punish or reward them only after the end of the tenure. Then only we can go to the voting and either reclaim or reject them. Now, what are the possible mechanisms to control them, to track them, whether they implement their policy plan, whether they follow their budget? So, how we can have more frequent control over our rulers?
Chaminda, unfortunately, I didn't hear you well because it's not like I hear your voice, but it's chirping. Like it's basically.
Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, I mean, for regarding the executive presidency or the parliamentary based system, is that the?
Yeah, that was first question. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer for the parliamentary based government system, but if we are going for like a parliamentary based government system, then the electoral system should be changed. It should not be a proportional represent. It should not be held proportional representative method, because then there will be unstable governments. They will not be able to establish uh, the strong governments. There will be always.
Now, first
Sorry,
of all, are you
I can't
suggesting
hear you.
first passport system or electronic dates like the previous one?
Yeah, I'm suggesting a mixed model. I
Okay,
mean, 70% of the all electoral system, 30% we can obtain from the proportional representative method.
agree. Okay, right, that is clear. Now, the second question I asked to both of you, Chandra can start, but she can also continue. Can you hear me?
No, not clear.
Your voice is chirping.
Can you hear me now?
Now, a little bit better.
Let me try once more again. Audio, microphone, my internal mic, volume mic.
I think when you're moving here and there,
Okay, I will stay here. Okay, now maybe I can switch off the video and speak. Okay, now my question is, now based on the current system we have, we can only kind of punish or reward president and parliamentarians only after the next election. So that means after 5 years or 6 years or something. Now, should we have different ways, particularly to track their progress in terms of budget, whether they implement the budget? As Siri mentioned, this made an example. Now, we have a manifesto and for the president as well as for the new government. But then they are all 5 years, at least 4 years. So, how we can control or track and maybe even punish them more frequently, once a year, twice, I mean, every other year, because we need, what are possible ways that we see that they are delivering what they promise every year? So that is my second question. Chatur, you can start and then Kipsi can continue. I'm saying this now in countries like Switzerland, for each small decision also you have to get the votes by people. So that is maybe more costly, but also it can be more time consuming. But there are other arrangements where they have to consult people more frequently. But we have a problem of controlling our representatives once we elected them.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, like as I said earlier, also the privilege system we are having for MPs should be abolished. I think that's the one reason they are getting away from people. I mean, there's a gap between the MPs and the general public. Even MPs not these days are not using the public transport for
Mm-hmm.
their transport as well. But the earlier days in 1950s and 16s, they used the train tickets, warrants, uh, and they travel with the common public. So they are like now there's a kind of like distance between the MPs and the general public.
But
That's
by the way,
one.
just for my observation, recently when this UN by Prince, I don't know, UN human rights, the person who came to Sri Lanka 2 days ago, and Sushmita Singh, the Indian Foreign Secretary Ministry, both of them they use Toyota cars, not BMW or BMW Benz,
Yeah.
because normally Sri Lankan politicians use I see Mahindra Rajah still using Benz, but these guys they were traveling by Toyota cars, so it's really interesting to see.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
So that's the first thing that lead them to like get away from people and not delivering what they have promised. Second is like now we have like certain mechanism set up in parliament already to progress the not the progress but actually the audit for what they are doing, especially the government institution, for mechanisms like COP and mechanisms like National Audit Commission. So we should strengthen these as well to like minimize the chance to involve in corruption. And but I think for my personal opinion, like we cannot go for like a system like in Switzerland that where you have right to like call for referendum if you get 100 signature or something, because otherwise that could be misused by the the opposition
Yes.
and various other political groups, and then what we have to do is like keep having the referendums day by day to small every small issue. So we should tight instead of that we should tight and we should strengthen the mechanism like COP and the National Audit Commissions and those things. So that will actually make and the government and the MPs to push on what they are doing. At least then
Okay.
the errors for the corruption and the errors for like
Okay.
freeze is will be minimized.
Okay, now maybe also the activation of Information Act and all. But
Yes.
now, do we have any mechanism to see whether budget is really implemented? I don't know exactly. Is there a
No.
legal? Yeah.
That's what the whole whole problem, right? The budget numbers and the allocations that they are talking about in the parliament, they're just not. But those amounts are not never get allocated.
So they're not binding. We can't question them, no?
We can
We
question,
can't
yes.
question them. There's no transparency, and so they say, okay, we have allocated this much to this, right? But another guy can go back, go to the treasury or whoever it is, and claim that money for something else. And so that's
I
not.
always said this. Yeah, I always said this issue. Now we have a very high attention to budget and a lot of discussion. I don't know, and then whether this is like a variance analysis, for example, or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely useless. It's just a time waste, and it's
Okay,
absolutely useless.
any frequent indicators or like tracking mechanisms? Kitsiri, can you suggest something? Already Chatur mentioned something else, Pope and other committees, but
No, this is how the way of governing a country has been established like since 19th century, right? But in Sri Lanka, why it is not happening? I have a very different perspective. For example, when you come to a country like this, and when you closely work, we can understand how it's happening. The government never takes a decision. Sorry, the governments never put a suggestion. For example, say projects and how to develop. They don't do that. It comes from people. How? This is the way it comes. For example, if I take the city of Hamilton here, there are 92 independent organizations on different projects and paid by the city of Hamilton for for their work. They are people who suggest things. If you do like this will be the outcome. If you do like this, for example, a small project, build a school. If you build a school here, this will be the outcome. If you build it here, this will be the outcome. There are so many intellectuals in areas making it. They are
Just to sort of interrupt now, actually in Sri Lanka, this is happening in like when the government or any other organization get donor funding from IMF or World Bank or European Union, they have to make those proposals. At the same time, in the private sector, we do the same thing, no? Project proposals, return on investment, but when it comes to government money, that is not the practice.
No, here the government, for example, say government needs to have a wastewater treatment plant in a certain location. The government puts that proposal to the people, to those institutes, okay? And those institutes are also sometimes party based. Like there are certain institutes, they are conservative. There are certain institutes, they are liberal.
Yes.
Government puts all these suggestions, and then they take the reports, right? So it is the idea, or the mayor has to decide which way to go. And mayor already knows the idea of the public, and because the public consultation has gone through already, and so they don't have to worry about that. So all what they do, they just implement it.
Okay, so now you are saying there should be consultation process at least from the people. Can we suggest that it should be applicable to large projects or nationally crucial import projects?
It should be applicable in municipal levels. It should there should be municipal level.
But the complaint can be it close down process. It can have like sabotaging activities by opposition. So how to overcome those issues?
No, their job. For example, I'm a consulting engineer. Those companies, they come to us and they say, hey, this is a wastewater treatment plant, and this is the thing. How much will it cost? Okay, so we have to give us some kind of like approximate number, how much it costs, right? And they use that information, and then they figure out if this is a good suggestion, if this is a bad suggestion. From their perspective, Fraser Institute says something, and another institute could say another thing. So the mayors
again, Mr. Now in Sri Lankan context, for example, when it comes to low class or poor people, maybe the awareness or enthusiasm or possibility manipulated by other agencies can it be an issue? How to overcome that?
That is the whole problem. The whole problem in Sri Lanka is people don't trust NGOs, right? Non-governmental organizations, they call. They don't trust, and that's a big thing. Like people, the politicians created, but
exactly.
these countries, it's the NGOs who are really running.
Exactly. Yeah. No, but you are saying now we have panchayat raj. I mean, I don't know how they successful, but in India, the community level organization take political decisions about their own projects. But now, for example, let's say now we want to implement a nuclear plant in Sri Lanka for energy or whatever it is. Now that kind of crucially, strategically crucial project. Now, what is kind of
that should go through a huge vetting process. Like for port city should not be stopped now, because the port city should have been discussed. Right. Way long before. And right now, what we are sending by stopping this, we are sending a message to the investors. Hey, come and invest, and in the middle of the investment, and when the progress is going on, if there are a bunch of people who come and against it, then we're going to stop it. What does that give? Like it gives a wrong message to investors. That's very wrong.
Okay, so you are suggesting that there should be a consultative screening process at the early stage in the defining of
That's right. In Sri Lanka, unfortunately, what politicians are doing, everything behind the scene. They don't declare. They don't say anything.
Yeah, Chakura, can you come in?
Yeah, I mean, uh, this is regarding the, I mean, how we can monitor the projects and the,
Not only monitor, even include take part in designing, approval and disapproval early stage before any project realize.
yeah, I mean, that's something like our professionals, I mean, the intellectuals should do, but unfortunately, with the past experience where we have seen, like in Port City, for example, like there are some issues regarding the environmental issues, but they have given the approve in somehow by bypassing the regulations or something. So I
They,
think
they,
I think if we have to stop it in the middle, I think yes, that's create a bad impression and giving a wrong message to the foreign investors. If you are like investing here, you should be ready to risk of like stopping it at the middle. That should not happen. I agree with that, but uh, but do we need to consider only about the investors? Don't we need to assess the long-term benefit, the long-term influence, impact that our country should have?
exactly. That's my point. That's how I'm saying. All these things should have been discussed before, and then come to an agreement, right? At the highest level, yeah, we're going to go forward, or we are going to, scrap it.
Yeah,
And
in that point I'm mentioning, like now say the for the port city, like there are like few reports being called from like the Central Environment Authority and some universities, so on. But these I mean there is no mechanism that we could assure like they are giving the proper assessment based on their knowledge only. I mean, there can be external influences to pass these projects and just say this is approved. So we need to assess we need a mechanism to assess these intellectuals or uh, the the subject knowledge people's reports also. That's what
yeah,
I'm saying.
yeah, yeah, you are basically saying these assessments done by the educated people cannot be trusted
Yes.
sometimes, right? In short form, that's what you're saying. It is here too, Chatura. Like in these countries,
I mean,
it's
in Sri Lanka,
yeah,
coming to,
but yeah, but that will be unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. And if people are doing based on like if I do my job based on somebody's influence, that's really unfortunate, and those people shouldn't be there, first of all. And second, um, when you get reports from multiple people like here, and then you have it's not limited, like you have a whole bunch of people uh, issuing these reports, and all the duty of the government or the mayor is very simple, like he has to basically go by the majority decision and then put that decision into people again, and what people going to say. And some kind of mechanism should be there. I think Chaminda has left, right?
yes. Let me see.
What happened there?
See join? Okay. No.
No, I don't see him.
I can't add him again because it showed me he's already in the conversation. Shows. Okay, let's end the call and wait for like few minutes. If he back, he will be add.
Yeah, he just sent a text and he said, "Wait, I will rejoin soon."
Okay.